Keeping safety front of mind is all about communication. Welcome to the Farm Safety Roundup, a podcast series focused on important conversations to help keep farmers, their families, and their workers safe. Farm Safety Roundup is brought to you by the agricultural team at Workplace Safety and Prevention Services. With today's timely topic, I'm your host, Sean Haney. Let's get to it. Welcome to another episode of the Farm Safety Roundup. You know, as harvest ramps up across Canada, rural roads become some of the most dangerous stretches in the country. Here's a stat for you. 70% of speeding-related road fatalities happen on rural roads. And farm machinery is nearly 5 times more likely to be involved in a fatal collision than other vehicles, especially during the busy weeks of harvest. The stakes are really high for everybody here. We got to stay safe. Farm families working long days and those that intersect on our rural roads. Visibility, secure loads, experienced drivers, and staying alert are absolutely critical. Today on the Farm Safety Roundup, we're going to talk to Kristin Hoffman. She joins me from Workplace Safety and Prevention Services to share practical strategies to ensure everyone gets home safe, which is our goal indeed. Kristin, great to chat with you.
Sean, good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, so pretty crazy stats there that really surprised me. So farm equipment has the right to be on the road, but there are challenges, okay? What are some examples of incidents involving equipment on some of our rural roads?
So in those statistics that you shared, collisions may involve ATVs, UTVs, self-propelled implements, and tractors. And a lot of those even happen in daylight hours, often to the rear of the farm equipment. Picture the fast-moving vehicle on a roadway suddenly is on the rear of a slow-moving, large or not, piece of farm equipment. In my region, we have had over the years several incidents. One, a van that did collide with a combine on its rear. And we think about that size difference. The combine is big. The van is not so big. The force of that impact was still enough that it broke the rear axle of the combine, sent the combine off the road, and the operator was tossed around as you would expect in that cab, if not secured in that seat. The van driver was killed during that impact. We have another in the last while where we have that big equipment on the road, a tractor with a towed cultivator. And unfortunately, that cultivator was not in its transport position. The wings were still out over the center line on that road. And again, whether it's a small or large vehicle, anything oncoming needs some space on that other side. And in this particular incident, a motorcycle came over a hill. The tractor operator may not have seen the bike. The bike did not see the tractor until that bike collided with the wing of the cultivator. And the driver of that bike was killed.
Yeah.
But some of the time, the collisions really just involve the farm equipment, those rollovers and upsets that we have without other vehicles, but always an upset for those involved.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of rural roads don't have the shoulder that you would see on more of a major road, and so that, and especially, in certain parts of the country, you get into that, the frost is coming out and you get that soft shoulder. So there is that's a really good point. Some of this is also solo, not necessarily two pieces of like a vehicle and a piece of machinery colliding. So what are the most important preps that a farm, because there's dual responsibility here, right? There's the responsibility of the non-farming traffic, but there's also responsibility for the farmer as well. So what are some of the most important preps that a farmer should make before taking farm equipment on the highway?
Because that is what the farmer does have direct control over. What you can do to prepare yourself and your equipment when you are out on the road. We are going to encounter others that may not prepare as well as you have. So what can you do then to manage those exposures? Prepare yourself, prepare your equipment, have a close look at your equipment, check attachments, lights, mirrors, tires, all of the pieces that you will need to travel on farm and on road safely. Check that equipment on the route. Plan yourself an area where you can get off to a safe location to continue to check your load is secure, your lights and your slow moving vehicle or SMV sign are still visible. And especially when we are going from road to field and field to road through those transitions. Have you picked up a whole lot of dirt, mud, otherwise when you've been working? Check before you head out onto the road that you're going to be well seen by those others who are on the road. On that point of the slow moving vehicle sign or SMV sign, be sure that it's not only on your power unit, your tractor quite often, but also that rearmost towed implement that you have. If you have a series of gravity boxes or wagons, that last one in line needs to have that triangle. So it alerts, we hope, those who are coming up behind us quite fast that we're moving just a little bit slower. Lighting and reflectors, generally, we want white to the front and red to the rear, just like any other vehicle on the roadway. So be sure to not use your field lights, the white on the rear, once you get out onto the road. That becomes really confusing for others who are on the road coming up to the rear of farm equipment if they're looking into two white lights or one white light at the back of that equipment. And generally, we expect to have lights on or in conditions when we are not visible about that 1/2 hour before sunset to 1/2 hour after sunrise, or if it's foggy, rainy, or snowy, light yourself up like Christmas decorations so that you are well seen when you're out on the road.
Now, oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add, and check your capacity and equipment. Check your capacity. Make sure that your equipment is designed for the loads you're going to make it work. Make sure the tractor or vehicle can handle that weight safely. You've got proper braking. You're going to get stopped when you need to.
Now, one of the most contentious topics related to all of this is age. Okay, so on private property, at least in most provinces, there's no legal age restrictions that changes once you hit a public road. Who should be driving farm equipment on public roads, and why is it important to match driver age and experience to equipment? Let's talk about that.
So in Ontario and most of the jurisdictions across Canada, operators of farm equipment must be 16 years or older to drive farm equipment on public roadways. They may not require a license. However, it is important to note that if they do have a license and it has been suspended for impaired specifically, those operators are not permitted to drive the farm equipment on the road or be in public spaces. Now, I'll encourage as well, consider age-appropriate activities, license or not, 16 or not, ensure that we meet those minimum requirements. But perhaps that self-propelled sprayer is best under the handling of an operator who's been on the road for a few years rather than their first time out with farm equipment. You know, communication, training, experience, and that check-in with supervision is so important whether we're on farm or on the road with our farm equipment.
Okay, so once we're on the road, we're moving to the next field. What should farmers do to prevent incidents?
Follow the rules of the road. There are some exemptions, though generally rules such as stop signs, yielding right of way, like that oncoming lane, giving up half, lights, signals, apply to farm equipment just like they do other vehicles. You know, do consider as well some of the restrictions related to our high-speed farm equipment that we have now. Although your tractor may achieve 70 kilometers an hour, some rules of the road still restrict that slow-moving vehicle to 40 kilometers an hour. Consider those reasons why. We are sharing the road with others who are often smaller, lighter weight. That decrease in speed gives us a little greater control over the equipment. If you have equipment with a cab and rollover protective structure, even the bar, use the seatbelt. The two are designed to be used together, especially on road and slopes. Keep in mind that those collisions do often involve other vehicles. So it may not be that you roll over and require the seatbelt, but someone hits you and causes you to be thrown around in that cab. Be sure that you're secured in that seat just as you would any other vehicle. No riders unless the equipment is designed for passengers, like your ATVs, side-by-sides, or other UTVs. Otherwise, generally, our farm equipment is intended for that one operator.
Mm.
And like any other vehicles, avoid distraction. Do keep in mind handheld devices. Those rules apply when we're in our tractor just as they would any other pieces of equipment. And beyond our handheld devices with GPS and other systems that we have in our equipment can take our eyes and mind off of the road. Be sure our focus with eyes and mind are on the road when we head out. Use proper signals and early. Protect yourself. Give yourself that bit of a buffer by letting others on the road around you know what your intention is. And as you mentioned, the challenge we have with shoulders, the infrastructure might not be perfect for our farm equipment. So plan your route. Check where you can get to and from with adequate space on all sides of your equipment. Do drive to the right of the road as much as you are able, but safely. Avoid that potential for a shear with the frost challenge, the weight of the equipment. Watch for traffic. Always expect the others are going to do the wrong thing and be defensive in your driving. And one other thought is if you are big, long, wide, it's those tough hours of day when there might be a little more traffic on the road, consider an escort or a pilot vehicle, someone to check that crest of a hill before you arrive at the top of that hill, those corners that might be a bit blind or tough for you to navigate.
Something else that comes to mind is a lot of times when we're maybe training a new employee, or maybe it's some of the younger generation, we train them in the field how to operate the equipment, but we necessarily don't like, okay, when you go on the road, here's what you should do. We're just like, okay, well, go finish the field and then move to the next one. And we probably should spend a little bit more time on the on-road training component of that too, what to do and not to do as well.
Absolutely. It is different than driving your car, truck, or bike on the road.
Yeah.
And a lot of it does become even more defensive than we would in some of our passenger vehicles.
And for the more urban people or acreage owners that are listening to this, understand you're driving your vehicle around large equipment. The urban traffic or the non-farm agricultural traffic, they play a part here too. You should mention that as well. Okay, so with the long hours and really the harvest can just have a relentless pace. It's no secret many are running a little bit on empty from an energy perspective at certain times. We got to stay safe there as well. How can farmers stay focused and prioritize safety when the demands are so high here at something like harvest time?
Yeah, and this is to prepare yourself. You have spent so much effort and time to prepare your equipment as we've been talking. You, as the operator, the farmer, prepare yourself, rest, take those breaks when you can. A distracted or fatigued operator is an unsafe operator for themselves, your farm, as well as others on the road. Think about the simple things in life like hydration, nutrition. Take that few minutes to have the cup of coffee, the bottle of water, maybe even a sandwich, although you are working those really long hours. Take a minute to make a call home. Give yourself that opportunity to recharge. It's easy to say, but do your best to avoid that multitasking and thinking about the 100 other things that are happening during harvest when you are on the road. Keep your attention on that task. And plan for what we hope does not occur, like an emergency on the road. Let others know where you are going to be. Have your phone with you, charged up, so that if you did need to make that call, you're able to do so. Have some idea of where you are, especially with some of our properties that are hundreds and thousands of acres. How would you navigate someone to you if there was an emergency? And to come back to the point made about the others who are sharing the rural roads with our farmers, as farmers, do your best to educate those others. In my community, we have posted signs in areas that are higher, slow-moving vehicle traffic areas that educate people on what that orange and yellow sign on the rear end of those tractors might mean. Slow down, caution, farm equipment on road. Talk about that in your networks. Talk about it with the younger generation as well in schools. Let them know how important it is that everyone in the vehicle is mindful of the big and slow, but really hardworking farmers and equipment that we have on the road.
Kristin, great discussion. Really appreciate you joining us here for this episode of the Farm Safety Roundup.
Thanks so much, Sean.
That is Kristin Hoffman from Workplace Safety and Prevention Services. Really appreciate her discussing really a critical topic here and very, very timely given the harvest time of the year. For additional road safety resources, make sure you visit wsps.ca/farmsafety. With agricultural expertise to help keep farmers, their families, and their workers safe, Farm Safety Roundup is a podcast series produced by RealAgriculture with the team of ag specialists at Workplace Safety and Prevention Services. Go to the website wsps.ca/farmsafety. There you're going to find free health and safety resources, and you'll also be able to check this episode's show notes for information on the topics discussed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time to talk all things farm safety right here on the Farm Safety Roundup.